I can get a better matchup later on because he's most likely going to have to blind pick here too. What do WE want to go for? Is it going to be the Nefiri ban? And then after that, no, it's the Yone. So Nefiri left open. Now, what's going to be paired with that is the follow-up. TF, an option. Because Annie's gone, the control mage pool is slimming out quite a lot. BLG hesitating on this. I was expecting a Nefiri very early. It's actually going to be the... So Nefiri is good into this, though. That's the problem.
Nefiri is good into Vi.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So they're going to bait and switch us a little bit. Nefiri going to be locked in here for Shun. But I agree with you, Jbetto. There aren't a lot of great setup tools still available to really get this Nefiri off the ground and capitalize with the jungle mid synergy. So I do like the Poppy hover. I also think if WE want to deny the Twisted Fate, that is not only a good denial, but also one of the few remaining champions with a global ultimate, which we keep hearkening back to is something BLG have struggled against in the past.
Yep, and really appreciate the Poppy here. I think it's such a crucial pick into compositions that usually want to dive alongside the Nefiri, but also for the Nefiri herself. And then we'll see that TF, so a very powerful duo and some of the kryptonite against BLG.
Yep, great call, Quax. So now it's going to be the Mel. Very likely this is the premier pick into the TF, something that was lingering in the back of my mind for pairings with Nefiri. It still does have CC and is very good at controlling space. But now the conversation kind of comes towards the bot lane. There's still top picks. Jax, Renekton. If you want to go further, you've got the Zehen down there as well. But where are we going? The Lucia Milio really fallen off in priority in this series. We were talking earlier about 2 and 10. It could be Mel Nautilus, and you could just go with this as a bot lane and keep mid as a flex potentially. Let's see what BLG want to prioritize here.
If Nautilus gets locked in here for WE, Shun is never going to be able to move in these fights. It's going to be so difficult to navigate the late game when there's so much point-and-click CC on the WE side of things. They're going to lock in the Caitlyn instead, so this does mean Knight will be piloting the Mel into the Twisted Fate, which, like you said, Jbetto, is a pretty good matchup for the Mel. But also, Caitlyn locked in here means that I think BLG really want to just play for range, play for priority, and open up the map for Shun early.
And that's been the hallmark for a lot of their success that we wanted to continue seeing after that game number 1, but has been non-existent. Cube gonna lock in the Renekton in that topside matchup. So it'll be a blind Renekton, see what Bin wants to give him right back. But we're into the second phase now. We already see those top lane bans from WE as the Jax taken away.
Yep. Definitely options. Nah, you could even go towards the Vayne. Zehen's still available. And Best is a really hard matchup in lane, but you can still go it, although it does lose pretty hard. Now, are we going to go something super aggressive like the Elise? That was a BLG staple bot lane duo from last year with Elkin on, and Viper on have played it a little bit. It is a bit rough into things like the Poppy and the TF, though. However, so is Lux, as she's immobile. Braum, an option of pastimes, because it a bit better into the TF, better into the Poppy, but BLG will not have counterpick for their support, as this Poppy can still be a flex.
I like the Braum a lot. I think the upfront burst damage for both of these teams is really potent so far. So having that shield up and having that disengage opportunity for both teams does intrinsically just have a lot of value into it. But WE have no interest in going for a support. They are hovering around 80 carries here and about. Is known for the Aphelios, has piloted it in the past. This would be absolutely crazy to slam down with how much pick potential and how much range BLG have. Going for an immobile 80 carry is a statement.
Wow.
It is locked in. So about feeling himself after that Jinx game. He should be. That was an impeccable Jinx game. And we'll see now what BLG want to respond with their final 2 picks here and what could be their final game of this split.
Okay, the Zehen makes sense. This is pretty decent into the Renekton. You should lose lane a little bit, but if you manage to take an extended trade with passive stacked up, should be fine. But how do BLG want to approach this bot lane? Because you need to win. You need to win through bot. You need a big lane lead, and it looks like BLG might be going back to a tried and true staple, the Caitlyn Elise, and they will lock it in.
Oh boy. All right, so disengage be damned. BLG are throwing down the gauntlet. My biggest concern with this BLG comp now is that if you don't accelerate the Elise and you don't accelerate the Nefiri, it feels like come mid-game, late game, you're going to be playing this, you know, 3v5. It's going to be so difficult for you to find even footing against WE, who have the superior scaling on things like the Aphelios, and now the Nautilus lock-in here just feels like it makes Shun's job that much more difficult. You want to go in, you're going to get gold carded, you're going to get slammed into a wall, you're going to get stunned by Renekton, you're going to get hit in the face with an anchor over and over again. There's so many different ways WE can peel off this pesky dog on BLG and this pesky spider to join up with him. How are you ever getting onto a bout? If this Aphelios gets gold, gentlemen, it might just be wraps. It is all about the bot lane, in my opinion, for this game, just like it was in game number 3. And we saw how that went.
Yep. And the Aphelios pick that we've seen earlier this year, a lot more. It's fallen off a little bit, but the Aphelios Nautilus, a classic pairing. I agree. If BLG cannot get the ball rolling, this draft becomes so much harder to play.
It's so difficult if things don't go the right way. And WE have now had 2 consistent performances back to back against BLG. It's feeling like deja vu. It's feeling like BLG are desperate with the weight on their shoulders. The expectations for this team after bringing home that international title for the first time in years to the LPL. They are on the brink of not even being able to go to MSI and reach that 4th consecutive precipice there. It is WE, the magical story that has overtaken the LPL. One of the most historic runs for a team that went 1-13 in the regular season to now be 1 game away from internationals and from the finals for the first time since 2017. BLG versus WE, Game 4 starts now. Saw the 90 caliber net start there by Viper, so that's a little bit of a detriment to the laning setup here for them. And we're going to see Monki put pressure on Shun early.
I like this.
Feels pretty rough with the Caitlyn style like you mentioned, but this is an aggressive Monki. Does hit level 2 actually, so Shun is going to chase Monki out of his jungle, but won't end up going for a full chase. I think that BLG, as the hook goes wide, barely, putting like belief in their bot lane and in their jungler in a series where there is so much on the line, a ticket to finals against top esports to continue the potential of your golden road. A ticket to MSI as Hook comes out.
They're going to find a nice little trade in bot side. Caliber actually dodged out of there with the repel. And so we see Karis and Knight trading early as well. This is going to be a typical occurrence, it feels like, in this game as tensions are high. Got to also point out that both junglers are going to be pathing up towards top side, so away from this very hectic bot lane unless we get a repath down.
And we did see, because of that earlier invade that failed from Monki, he was slightly behind in tempo compared to Shun, and already it seems like Shun wants to make use of that. He is pinging toward Monki's jungle on the top side, having prio in both solo lanes, trying to take away some of that gold from the Poppy. But Poppy, a champion that doesn't really rely heavily on gold, doesn't rely heavily on resources to be useful. All you gotta do is press W and press R and occasionally press the smite key in order for you to actually be a functioning member of this team comp.
Shun will be found out here as Monki doesn't necessarily want these early trades, as Nefiri can be very strong, and he doesn't have any help because mid lane Karis is just backing. And you have top side who's just under threat with Bin and Cube going at each other. Meanwhile, Hook and bot side, insta cleanse from Viper, and the heal comes out from On2. Wow. The repel dodging a little bit of that damage, but the combo hit nonetheless.
Yep. I think it's insane that both junglers are okay with letting this bot lane play out in isolation, and I think it's even crazier that Aphelios Nautilus is getting this amount of wins in a bot lane that can be this Caitlyn Elise focused.
And you might be thinking, Shun is denying camps, denying crucial tempo away from Monki on this Poppy, but I also kind of feel like it's hurting him. He's on a timer to make things happen. If he's dancing with Monki in his own jungle, he's not getting kills on the map, and he needs to be doing just that. So it kind of feels like this is something that is a detriment to him at the same time as it is Monki, but one of these champions is a lot more useful come mid to late game.
I mean, you can't dance with a monkey in the jungle because that's where they live, okay?
True.
They know that they're all
and
over
Tarzan's
the trees.
already out of the tournament, so he's not there.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think Monki, just in lore accurate towards his name, does win out in the 1v1. Is that how that works? I think
so.
Yeah. For sure. We don't need to check it. It's fine. But we see another staple of this series so far for WE, and it's a lot of those connected plays, the movement with prio from the lanes themselves. We see that does earn WE a Scuttle Crab on the bot side, so it will be the 50-50 on the Scuttle Crabs for both, but a dragon looming on the horizon in about 25 seconds. We've seen both teams put high prio over the early dragons this series.
We have, but I don't think WE are necessarily chomping at the bit to take this down immediately. Because Monki is more on a peeler / facilitator, it does kind of feel like they aren't able to pull the trigger on these neutrals nearly as hastily as they have throughout this best of 5 so far, where Monki see, Monki do. They got to be a little bit more reserved in this game whenever they start an objective, because it takes that extra little bit of time to actually complete it, and it could give a window to BLG to try and punish or look for a cross-map play.
We are seeing that now.
Karis
Level 6 completed by Karis. There's the Destiny and the Gate following him, but right onto a trap. Beautifully done to get out of that one by Viper. On is going to be a slippery beast under turret as well, so they don't want to go for a dive, but that's one of those proactive plays that WE can pull off.
Yeah, I don't love the game plan here from BLG, which is let Caitlyn Elise get interfered with by the jungler, by the mid. You need leads. It's just plain and simple. If you do not get a lead through this bot lane, has been forced to trade ults with Cube. But if you don't get a great lead on this Caitlyn Elise, if you can't use that to give your jungler a lead, I mean, at minimum here, you'll get the first Drake and you have position around that with Caitlyn Elise, which you do need to have first move always with Caitlyn. Like, retaking with Caitlyn is really, really tough. Retaking into Caitlyn is also really tough. But I don't love how BLG have started this game.
Erha got a deploy out, and will spawn out that the dragon is taken, so will the announcer there for BLG taking the first objective of the game. But I want to harken back to something that the desk was talking about, as we are going to see a Dredgeline land. Max distance on the Knight with the yellow card following after. About half his health taken down, but they were calling for these solo lanes for BLG to step up. It's been 2 games in a row that they haven't been able to do so. Even on the Aurora, Knight was 4-0 at one point, but they can't make it stick. And that has been a sinking feeling for BLG all series long.
And I feel like it's so crazy to talk about that in the context of Cube, as he does find Shun base checking the bush. Doesn't have the Dominus, though, so does have to be very careful about overplaying his hand.
Oh, we're just going to get a tussle here. The flash play from On, but he gets stopped in his tracks there. The re-engage is there. The repel, he's not going to go for it, but the Hound's Pursuit is there. They do have everything. Their call of the pack used, but he goes down. Meanwhile, Bin has finally gotten up to his passive, but that is just going to be a big trade in mid lane. Both junglers down.
It's going to be a 1-for-1, and you could see Shun just desperately trying to get some modicum of gold into his Nefiri pick. Does manage to do just that, so at the very least will get himself an accelerated point in the game. But my biggest concern is he going to be able to keep replicating this, right? I mean, we've got no flash on Shun, we've got no flash on On. You need these guys to layer down the CC, and then you follow up with it. So if they are limited in their ability to make plays around the map, so are you.
Insane that Monki gets the Steadfast Presence off in that time so that On can't get his full combo off. That is ridiculous timing to buffer that before the stun comes out. But still, it only ends in a 1-for-1, and Viper has just been left by himself to lose this lane. Again, really not a fan of how this game is starting for BLG.
I mean, About's got an entire almost level lead, or at least he did for a while there, over his opposing bot laner. And Caitlyn, yes, that we've talked so much about some of the scaling and stuff that comes online with Caitlyn as she goes further into the game, but you really want him to have some leads as BLG don't sniff out the backing About. He will get his back off, but an invade is being teed up by BLG. Meanwhile, WE going to go ahead and take the grubs.
They know that Monki is on the top side, so they can make this aggressive invade without really much punish here from WE. Bin also has flash, plus the ultimate, plus the passive available on the top side, so diving as a hen is a death wish. There really is nothing for them to worry about on the top side of the map. But I guess going back to this top lane a little bit, it is so impressive just the level that Cube has risen to as he does pop the Dominus, chunks out Bin a decent amount here. We talk about the rebound of the WE members being able to perform when the playoffs come through, and I feel like it has been no better exemplified than what Cube has been putting out in the playoffs so far. He was the player a lot of people talked about as a worrying point for WE. He has been stepping up, I feel, the most compared to his regular season level.
Look at the dive coming off here. Oh, he had the red card. So a couple dodges, a couple moves coming out from BLG as they counter the play. The Grim Deliverance hits on a 3, but he's not going to get his passive up. He'll go down, but Chun looking for resets, looking for more damage. Cube is chunking away, and so is Karis. The solo lanes for WE are stepping up against two of the longest standing top members of the league in Bin and Knight. Cube and Karis teeing it up here, trying to take down Knight, trying to at least get Cube out of here. Yellow card available. He's going to rebuttal it, but it's yellow card over. The golden embrace from the sun coming through, and Knight finds the pick.
Yep. I think Knight really makes this play worthwhile. I would have preferred BLG to go towards a bot lane dive. I know that diving bot with no tank is scary, like diving tower, sorry, with no tank is scary, but you have Nefiri Elise. These are two of the best early game dive champions possible. Instead, we go top side to cover for this dive. This is a passive play, the defensive play. It works out well because WE mechanical misplays here, and BLG play it fairly well with Chun immuning the start there, or the ult, Keeper's Verdict. But it's not even necessarily a winning play. It's already a 1-for-1, and it only ends up being a 2-for-1 because Knight plays the fight so well. Again, I think that not getting a lead on this Caitlyn and not trying to push forward on the bot side like we're doing right now, this is how you win the game here for BLG.
Yeah.
We're seeing them turn their attention to that. Another dragon is also up, and this has been a nice change of pace for BLG as they are finally finding some promise in an early game over the last 2 games. That'll also put them on this dragon stacking objective with these earlier style comps that we were asking them to execute on. And that'll be a nice boon for them on the bot lane.
Very much needed for them to get off to an early objective lead here in the first few minutes of the match, just because this is the power point for Shun on the Nefiri, for on the Elise. We do see some kills going over to Shun at the same time, so he is being somewhat accelerated in this game. Does have the Cyclo Sword complete.
Ooh.
Hang on.
I mean, red-white about ready to fight. If they get a little chunked back for the range advantage that Viper has on the Caitlyn. Shun able to make it out of the enemy jungle there just fine. And it's still very, very heavily contested bot lane all game long so far, 12 minutes in.
Yep. It's Hextech Soul, BLG on 2 dragons, and Hextech Soul with the poke that BLG have. Nefiri can function like a poke champion very well because of the Darkened Blades. Is that what it's called? I believe so. Works out really well, especially with a Caitlyn and a Mel. So there is that win con. But I want to see punish onto this Aphelios. We need to be pulling flashes. We need to be making aggressive plays throughout the bot lane because top is completely stable right now. And while bot lane looks stable, sure, we're going to crux into a position in right now, like a while, but it's not going to feel like a while when it happens. There is going to be a moment where Aphelios has 3 items. It's Infinity Edge and LDR most likely, where Caitlyn is completely outmatched until 7 items you walk over a trap. Other than that, a bout is going to win.
And take a look at the state of things here. We do have those first items completed. Obviously, the junglers had completed theirs a little bit earlier on, but some stacking coming through with that Roa completed for Karis. But more importantly, it's about these map states and the lane assignments that we have had. We've had the move towards mid lane for both bot lanes. And that just might mean some more 3v3 action.
We do see About and Erha move toward mid, trying to punish
just eats that. The Moonlight Vigil plus the Caliber missing. That's big. Destiny with the gate popped on, locked down, but he repels out of the yellow card. But now he sits up to get knocked into the wall by Monki.
Nice, isolated.
Knight tries to come on the back end to get a nice root. Keeper's Verdict going to be channeled, but won't be used. And WE used those engage tools that we talked about so much from the draft to take away BLG's hopes there.
And BLG are just a little too split to make that fight work. On gets aggressed onto, and he's able to buy some time for himself, but it ends up being gold into the pockets of WE. And while this is happening, WE are getting their members accelerated. It is denying that timer. It is furthering, or rather, I would say shutting the door on a lot of the snowballing that the BLG comp needs to get done. Shun has a gold lead over Monki, but again, like we talk about, Poppy is a champion that doesn't need gold, doesn't need resources, just needs to click the buttons in order to buy space for your backline. So I don't really feel like this gold lead matters too much in the grand scheme of things. And then On, with only 1 KP and very little involvement in the game, this Elise is going to be having so much struggle once we start getting to these big dragons. And so I feel the only saving grace is BLG with the early Drakes there, at the very least getting these big late game win conditions to come up sooner.
BLG big late game. We'll see
That's
how
what they
that
say,
all
right?
works out for them. As the Rift Herald started up and almost already taken down. The trap line will not take WE away from the fight, but the Rift Herald already down. Now Monki on the other side, though, double CC chain onto On, and he is just bursted 100-0 there. The kill ends up going over to Erha. Now re-engage, Grim Deliverance coming in onto 3. He has his passive. He'll get his life back, and this charge comes through onto About. Ace in the hole, not enough. Erha is the one left out, and he will be taken down by the striking Viper.
Yep. Great Herald take from BLG. They lose their support. Moonlight Vigil goes wide. And WE have to give the tower. So, BLG, despite being down gold, they are up the dragons, but at 1 or 2 items, their comp, in my opinion, is a lot stronger. Specifically because of the bot lane duo, right? You really want Nautilus in a bit later than the Elise, and obviously you want the Aphelios later. You want to utilize TF in a side lane or stun card when you can actually kill someone instantly. But for BLG, they take the Herald here. I think it's a bit just shiny from Bin, who goes in and gets full stacks of his passive. Doesn't necessarily need to do this and use his flash, but On just dies, and that's a huge worry.
It is. The Elise is going to have a progressively more difficult game. Bin does manage to salvage it, and I also do have to say, even though the Herald does get popped here, you gotta believe that BLG really wanted to save this until 3rd Dragon spawned so that they could buy space for themselves to get access to the river. Now they won't have that, and WE are first to the river, looking on to Shun.
Dredgelight connects onto the doggo. Ace in the hole used early just so he can make sure to have the sustained damage down. Dragon had spawn, like you said. BLG are going to move in to try to clear out some of this vision. Monki holding in the bush will be forced out. Got to look at who can join. You've got the Destiny Gate, obviously there for Karis. TP for Knight. Dragon started up by Shun. They find the pick. They just go straight for the pick, straight onto the outside members of WE. Monki cannot survive as the dogs come howling. As Cube going to be chased down as well, and it doesn't matter even if you have crocodiles on your side. BLG want a stake in this game.
Yep. One of the biggest parts about that last fight that we didn't actually get a chance to talk about is the fact that About used Flash to get away from the Herald. He cannot fight. You see the whole time he's just in mid clearing. So then WE have to send their front line in to try to check. They don't want to give over Hextech Soul Point. But BLG, when they're not fighting against the Aphelios, when WE are together, BLG just tear the front line apart, and now they are on Hextech Soul Point.
They are, and they are getting the late game win conditions to come up sooner, while the Nefiri still has its uses, while the Elise is still able to participate in these fights without being outscaled. And Team WE just don't really have that firepower in the early phases of this game. About is scaling, but you got to be able to get to this 2 to 3 item mark by the time this next Drake comes up, and you don't have a lot of time to do so. Honestly, if WE can just deny one of these dragons, I feel like the game swings heavily in their favor to outscale.
Oh, they got the wall bang. They got the triple knockup on, and he just dies again. Well, that's a big steadfast presence on the Shun. He really can't get away for now. Going to use the call of the pack to get out of any initial engage, and that's going to be an invade completed by WE on the bot side of the map. Knight is going to get an outer tower on the top side. Bin is going to make it out with a nice defensive flex, and that's WE controlling the bottom lane of BLG.
Yep, On's not having the best game on Elise. He's had great games on this pick, and he's had not so great games on this pick as well. And not that this is the easiest Elise game to play ever, but he is struggling and is very obviously a pick that BLG are trying to, you know, find angles onto. Hook goes wide again. I want to say, like, with the scaling, I truly think that the only member of WE that actually scales this game is the Aphelios. I think TF scaling is not, like, he's just a stun card, and then you've got Engage. And Engage is always static. I think that individually, like damage-wise, I think that Zehen outscales, I think that Nefiri outscales, I think that Mel outscales. The issue is that Aphelios at 7 items is going to tear your team limb from limb because you don't have an actual tank. And WE have so many members around. There is so much CC. It's almost a single threat comp late game. And if you want any champion, it is Aphelios in top.
Uh-oh. Cube caught up by himself. Destiny's going to be popped. They might come join as Karis tries to go for a pick on a Viper, but he's about to get picked himself. He just gets absolutely obliterated by the headshot combo of Viper, and Cube goes down nonetheless. Knight showing his golden radiance here for BLG as they crest themselves straight into a Baron take.
They want to end this game fast, and they want to be clean in doing it. WE do have their jungler available. Monki also has that ultimate, so he can turn this from a 50-50 into a not 50-50 real quick.
Big repel from On. He's done that multiple times, and now the bully squad is coming in, but he flashes into the pit. 50-50 might still be on the ticket, and it's going to be taken by Bout. The Baron taken by WE, but they've lost everyone. That's a huge pick by About, and they're going to try to get out with the Baron buffs, but the root not going to connect. About trying to at least get away from this fight, but he wants to fight back in here as Karis comes back with the TP, and the TP coming in from Cube too. They do find the pick on the Bin, and now Shun forced out from under his turret. The turret's going to go down to WE, a huge turnaround play.
And About gets the Baron. He's the only member to survive with it, but look at what they're able to accomplish. Mid lane tier 1 goes down. Plates in the inner turret go down. They should be able to claim this as well. This is huge for them to set up around this dragon in a little over a minute.
Shun was really thinking about going for that one, but WE turned the table around. They've got to get a reset as we take a look back at this fight.
Yep. So this is earlier where Destiny is popped, Viper cleanses away, and he just basically solo kills Karis with 2 really, really nice traps. Yeah. So BLG are actually on the winning side of this, but Bin is so split. Bin and On go up, BLG stay on the Baron. Meanwhile, perfect hook, flash misses, and Viper just dies in the pit. So unfortunate here.
130.
Yeah. I think that's exactly how you're supposed to feel, because not something we haven't mentioned yet. Look at your scoreboard and the gold lead that About has. Before wasn't super scary. Now, yeah, we're there.
We hit it. We have arrived. It is the saving grace for WE, and it might just be what makes their moment. Dragon number 4 for BLG on the table. They could just give this one away, but it feels like momentum is slipping.
So the hole comes out for a bit of poke damage. And remember, BLG have the range advantage. They need to use it. Maybe we're just going for a flip. Poppy ult.
Secret verdict. It's not going to connect on, but the 50-50 is on. It's going to go the way of Shun.
Got it.
They secure Hextech Soul, and look at the AoE that's starting to come down now.
The range.
A beautiful executed fight from BLG as they go front to back and wipe WE away. That's going to be multiple members from WE retreating as Shun sits back in his chair and says, I got him.
Shun gets the smite when it matters most. And BLG secure themselves the soul. 2 members on WE are down, but they're laying a trap. They're hoping for someone to face check. They're using About as bait.
They know, though. Karis was waiting for an entrance there as well. Monki able to deflect this push into the turret. Ben still looking to chunk down the bottom outer turret, though, but the mid lane push has been denied, and it's BLG who back away.
The Hextech Soul is actually such an important part of this game because this comp now is completely focused towards the range. You can see it in this fight. BLG are poking. Once the Keeper's Verdict goes wide again, WE are playing for the flip. They don't want to engage too early. They say, we can get this 225. Shouldn't get to, and now look at the range. There is nothing WE can do. The reason the Hextech Soul, great wrap, by the way, that's a bit unfortunate. But the reason that the Hextech Soul is so massive is that WE want to close the gap. Hextech Soul slows you down, so you can't do that as well.
Right. It makes it a lot more difficult for you to actually find the backline members of BLG. And BLG, with the Caitlyn, with the Mel, with the already pretty poke-heavy late-game carries that they have drafted here, it just makes them that much more dangerous. For WE, though, they still have a 3-item Aphelios, now getting closer and closer to that 4th item, so feels difficult to count them out at this point because About has hit his big break point on this champion. A fight goes awry if he's too well protected, and if WE are able to close that gap somehow, this game could swing right back in their favor.
Yep. And I think that when Viper gets Infinity Edge, the conversation will start to shift a little bit. It's okay. Viper has Infinity Edge. He can do damage. He is still on 2 items right now at 25 minutes, whereas About, like you've been mentioning, much, much stronger at this point in the game. Knight is bridging that gap alongside Shun, who both have 3 items. Viper just now picked up, it's actually a rapid fire cannon. He wants the range more than anything. He doesn't really care about the full damage right now. It's about the range.
Monki.
Oh, they have the yellow card ready to go from Karis, though. He was waiting to go in. Monki goes for the wall bang there. They catch Shun. That's just him dead. That's a big gold lead gone for BLG. TP in onto the traps. Double headshots. The Croc is in some trouble. There's big game hunters out here as Knight hits the root. The double Grim Deliverance comes through. It's going to be Ben down now, but look at Knight and Viper firing away as Viper finds his own pick. A double kill coming through for him.
Even though they take Shun down and a massive gold lead over to About, WE can't break the range advantage yet, but that is a 3.6 thousand gold lead on About.
It is, but Viper is still so strong here. I mean, also, not only was he able to maintain that range advantage in the fight, he was able to retain his summoner spells as well. There's still a flash. There's still a cleanse. There is still defensive capabilities for this Caitlyn if you actually do get on top of her. As we go into the replay here, Cocoon landing onto About is a little bit funny, but then Monki decides to pull the trigger, Erha right there with him, and the CC is good, but then they find themselves in the middle of a choke point, in the middle of a narrow corridor against Caitlyn, against this Hextech Soul, and all of the damage, and the slows, and the AoE come through there.
So close to getting passive up. Oh, it's close.
Very close, but a topsy-turvy fight still makes BLG believe that they can push us to 5, that we can go the distance for the first time of this meetup. As we have seen this team face off before, it was a 3-1 victory for WE in that first round. A minute 45 to the game-deciding objective, it feels like, in the Elder Dragon. Items coming through. You got 4 items. You bought a book for Knight, who's 4 and 0, feeling good, but the power tools need to be in the right position, and Shun needs to not get caught out.
And look at how clumped up BLG are playing this game. There has been little to no side laning for the past 5 minutes from either of these teams. It has been ARAM City for both of these squads because BLG, the moment you go onto a side lane, Twisted Fate is going to jump on your head. And if that is a pick for WE, they're going to go onto the Baron.
On was thinking about a cocoon. Red, white, about is ready to fight. Yellow card at the ready for Karis.
How are they going to start it, though?
Poke coming in. BLG using this range, using this distance to poke and prod WE.
Yep. But it's so hard to enter against a Nautilus against this stun card from Karis. He has red card selected right now. Baron's being started up. Keeper's Verdict will hit, but it's really early.
It is already, though. They burn it. Look how fast they do it with the bout. He's on
Shun's
4
gotta
or 5
go.
items
Oh,
now.
they gotta go.
Gotta get in the pit. The Hound's pursuit, but the Baron's already gone by Monki. Monki trying to turn the fight now. They've gotten 1 for 1. Shun is down. Grim Deliverance onto 3 in the double root. The Golden Eclipse comes down.
About
The Knight
is
is not gonna
alive.
find the kill. Cube finds backline access,
Wait.
and Viper takes him down. Dive Viper going for the belly.
Viper.
Headshots. Viper, he might be hiding in the bush all series long, but he finally rears his head and snaps Shun with a triple kill for BLG's Viper.
Oh, so close.
Narrow escape
oh my
there.
God.
From Karis, the only member left standing, and an Elder in 5 seconds. WE, their members died after BLG's, so their death timers are going to be longer. They won't be on the map first. You do have the Hex Gates to try and cover the distance, but Viper is so strong as this Caitlyn. It should be an Elder over to BLG once we go back to live, but we go into the replay. Ult is canceled. Erha finds the pick onto the Nefiri, and About, crucially, is left completely unbesmirched this entire fight. We go back to live. Elder is at about half. I don't think WE can contest this whatsoever. They're going to have to give it up.
That's a big give, though. Elder Dragon now, and they can continue barreling down bot lane now. Has been trying to find a big pick there. Ace in the hole is going to come through and chunk down Cube, but the minion wave is right there at their back. Still about a minute and a half on this Baron buff, though, for WE, as they can use it to defend the siege.
Okay, Baron and Elder overlap for most of the duration that we see from them. So the siege from BLG going to be difficult. They're going to get that tier 2 inner on the bot side, but look at the waves in top. Look at the waves in mid. You're not threatening this Elder with the siege because that Baron buff is still on Karis. He is going to be able to hold the line for the rest of WE. There's a brief around 45-second window where that Baron will be gone, and BLG can actually use that Elder, but I'm not sure they're going to be able to capitalize off of that.
Yep, I agree. I think that with the trade of objectives, we're going to have to see another set of Baron and Elder. The backline from BLG played that fight so goddamn well. Shun basically just sacrifices himself for the Baron that he doesn't get. He dies instantly. Snap your fingers, he's dead. Bin goes in, does a big chunk, and On disappeared. I didn't even see him die. But the backline of Knight and Viper did so much in that fight. Flash and Flash down for Viper and Knight. They did. Can Karis get out? He can. Root doesn't hit, but BLG Baron is 15 seconds and it's gone. But Karis is in pot. That's the only Baron.
Yeah. They've got the Elder for another minute. They're going to try and bulldoze their way through the top side. Karis, you got to get back to group up with your team, my friend.
This is finally the moment that BLG have a little bit of an upper hand for another 40 seconds. Elder Dragon at their back.
Here's
a
the
couple
timer.
headshots could just be it. They are going to try to push, but Viper gets chunked as well. About doing a ridiculous amount of damage here as we go forward. Still that 4K individual lead. And WE still have a fighting chance here. BLG trying to hold on.
WE looking for picks. Destiny pop.
This is where you find them. This is where you find the
Elder
picks
is still
in
up,
the
though.
in-betweens. But Shun is still around here, so he will not pull the trigger on that, but they have information.
I like this a lot. BLG looking to try and turn the fight around with 10 seconds left on the Elder. Look for just an additional pick. We're at the point where death timers are reaching all-time highs, gentlemen. You get a pick here. So much space is going to be bought for you. But Baron up in 2 minutes. Elder a minute after that. If this series wasn't already climactic, we are getting what could potentially be the last game, the closest one yet, and damn, is it delivering.
The thing I want to focus on is the fact that we have two studs in the bot lane. 8-1 on the ADCs. We talked from the draft that this was going to come down to the bot lanes, and it truly, truly is. They are where the spotlight is in every single one of these fights, because if one gets picked, it is a much different fight moving forward.
Yep. Minute and a half on the Baron, though, so expect both teams to look for positioning instead of looking for an engage. I say that, but On is feeling aggressive. Remember, Knight has 20 stack Magi's. Viper has 4 items now, so has bridged that gap of the awkward Caitlyn middle game. About still has a 4,000 gold lead despite Viper also having 8 kills, which is ridiculous, by the way.
Yep.
But, yeah, a lot of damage in this game.
But both AD carries are getting really close to full builds at this point. So the gold lead for about matters less and less the further into the game we go. It is still going to be Viper one-shotting members on WE. It is still going to be about throwing down million damage ultimates. It is about which team is able to better protect their backline. That is going to be the difference maker, and that will be what puts one of these teams above the finish line here in Game 4. Silver Scrapes could be on the line, and WE, if they can just protect about, they can prevent it.
Oh, Cocoon goes a little bit wide. They don't get the CC on a Monki, but he still takes a brunt of damage there in the end. And I just want to highlight, On has won a domestic title going 0-9 in the final game of the series on Bard. He can win on anything.
Well, we've got some distance to go before that, but crucially here, Flash is available for every single member, so BLG's backline can be safe. About has cleanse up as well.
They shred this, by the way.
They just want the info. They just want the info. They're going to pop Destiny, try to figure out how BLG are setting up around the Baron.
Monki, you have to be careful.
Guns. Sorry, About.
He does. Blue-red.
Double
It's not red-white, but it is second.
It's pretty close.
Yeah,
Ben's
second
holding
place.
off a 1v2 right now. Shun barely dodging out of the dredge line. Now Monki forced to flash towards his team.
Erha
thinking about going for it there, and he's in the hole. You can just see how much damage a couple little hits left and right do for BLG. There's the back being completed. Knight is going to TP back in. You wonder if he completed an item, but the Baron is in the eyes of BLG. Half health down. Knight waiting over the wall. Gets a double CC chain. Ben waiting over the wall there too. And they have the Baron in their sights. They're going to be able to take that down. The fight afterwards as well. Erha going low, going down. And now the pick on a Monki. He's going down too. Knight says, "What's your moonlight vigil to my golden eclipse?" As they're picking them off left and right. BLG, they just fully wiped WE.
All right, BLG, pull it together, and they're going to send us to Silver Scrapes on the back of a game that I didn't really feel that confident in for BLG. In fact, About is still 3.5k ahead, but it's the range advantage with this Hex Soul that gets it done at the end.
It is Team WE, try as they might to play around About, cannot stand up to the might of BLG with the snowball comp of the Nefiri and the Elise. Silver Scrapes is on the line. Game 5, one more match to determine who gets to MSI.
That is the case as BLG bring us the distance, looking a lot more like themselves in this game number 4. Knight unkilled, Viper down 4k early in the game, ends up 11-1. These are the kinds of clutch performances that you want to have from your veteran pieces.
Yep. And I have to say, I was watching the game like this the entire time. That was one of the most stressful, tense games I've seen in a long time.
Well, let's go ahead and queue up those sweet, sweet Silver Scrapes for our lower bracket finals.